Hi everyone, today we're going to take a look at the Romoss Sense X power bank. This is a 10,000 milliamp hour power bank and it's actually pretty small if you look at it. It's not the smallest ever, but it packs a lot of features. It has Qualcomm Quick Charge for the input and for the output. So what that means is that you can recharge this super fast and you can also draw the power out super fast. So considering the size, it really packs a lot of features into this power bank. Now this is actually the first detailed review I've ever made of a Romoss power bank. I have played with them in the past, but I've never made a video about them. So my first full review, and I can tell you that I'm actually pretty happy with it. For anyone who doesn't know, Romoss is pretty well-known brand, especially here in the Philippines and a few other countries. They're not quite at the same level as Anker and Orki or RavPower, but they're pretty darn close and their prices are significantly less. And people always ask me, is Romoss a good brand? Can you trust the ratings? Is the capacity genuine? Everything like that. And that's what we're going to put to the test today. We're going to test the capacity, if it's genuine. We're going to test the input charge, the output, everything to make sure that this really matches the specs that they claim. Now on the top here you'll find the battery capacity meter. If we press the button, it will show us how much battery is remaining. If we hold down the button, it will turn on this flashlight, and the flashlight is actually reasonably bright. And this is actually one of their premium edition power banks, and what that means is that the batteries inside, the battery cells they're using, are from premium well-known brands. So that's why the price on this one is a little bit higher than some of their other products. You're getting the premium brand batteries and you're getting the Qualcomm Quick Charge input and output, so you do pay a little bit more, but personally I think it's worth it, just being able to recharge your power bank so quick. So enough talking, let's put this thing to the test. Now we'll do a capacity test to ensure this is really a genuine 10,000 milliamp hour power bank. Now power banks are rated on their internal voltage, so it's better to look at watt hours. So let me zoom in and show you. So you can see that this power bank is rated at 36 watt hours. So I have the tester plugged into the power bank and the tester is connected through to the laptop. So let me show you how it looks on the screen. So you can see it's reading the power bank voltage as 5.112 volts. I've set a test value or a test load of 1 amp and a cutoff voltage of 4.6 volts. Now the power bank should turn itself off before it even gets as low as 4.6 volts because it should be able to maintain a constant 5 volt output until it's basically run out of juice. So this will allow us to measure it over time and see the exact amount of power that we get out of this in watt hours. So now we just leave this and come back probably in many hours and see what the results are. So the power bank has stopped outputting power and the test has ended, and I'm excited to show you the results. Now what we've said in the past is that anything within 15% of the advertised capacity will be considered genuine. The reason why we allow up to 15% is that the internal battery voltage is generally 3.6 volts or 3.7 volts, and then when you're outputting it's at 5 volts, so you do have some losses in that DC to DC conversion. If we look at the back of the power bank, you can see that the batteries inside are actually rated at 3.6 volts, so we're expecting 36 watt hours. So let me show you the laptop so you can see the results. So you can see our average voltage through the test was 4.95 volts and we managed to draw out 30.70 watt hours. So that's literally just within 15% of the specifications, and that means that we can consider this a genuine 10,000 milliamp hour power bank. Now that the battery is empty, let's test the input charge speed. It's meant to support regular USB input, Quick Charge 2.0 and Quick Charge 3.0. So that means we can recharge this thing super fast. Let me zoom in on the background so you can see the input specs. So you can see here for the input, 5 volts or 8 volts at 2 amp, 12 volts at 1.5 amp, so potentially it could charge at a pretty good speed. And to test this we're going to use two different Quick Charge 3.0 chargers. This one here is from Anker and this one here is from Romoss. The nice thing about this is not only does it have Qualcomm Quick Charge, which is here, but it also has a regular USB port and a Type-C port, and obviously you can charge multiple things at once. I will be making a separate video about this charger. Anyway, let's plug it in and test it out, and we'll use the charge cable that came with the power bank. Now the first thing I noticed is that when you connect a charger, there's no indication as to whether it's using Qualcomm Quick Charge or just regular charging. On many power banks it will have another LED or it will flash a different color if it's using Quick Charge. This one doesn't have any indication, so unless you're using a power meter like this, you won't really know. Although if you plug a Qualcomm Quick Charge power bank into a Qualcomm Quick Charge compatible charger, it should be using Quick Charge. So sorry, that's a bit of a tongue twister. Let me zoom in on my watt meter. So you can see right now we're at 12.3 volts, 1.38 amp and 17 watts. That's pretty impressive. Now it's not quite at the 1.5 amp that's advertised on the back, but it's pretty close. Now let's swap to the Anker Quick Charge charger for anyone who's mixing up the brands, and let's zoom in on the watt meter. And it's pretty much identical. The voltage is a little bit lower, but the current is higher, and we're at around 17.2 watts, so pretty much identical between the two chargers. And I actually know that I can get around 24 watts out of this Anker one, so the bottleneck is really with the power bank, but 17 watts going in is still pretty darn good. Now let's imagine you don't have a quick charge charger, you just have a regular 2 amp USB charger. So this time I've connected to the regular 2 amp USB socket. Let's connect our tester and zoom in and see what the results are. And there you go, 5 volts, 2 amp, 10 watts. So even if you don't have a Qualcomm Quick Charge charger, for instance QC 2.0 or QC 3.0, you can still charge this thing at 2 amp or 10 watts, which is pretty fast. So big thumbs up on the input, no complaints there at all. And now it's time to test the maximum output of this power bank. Let me zoom in on the specs. So you can see we've got a regular USB port which claims to have a maximum output of 5 volts 2.4 amp. Then we have the quick charge output, and that says 5 volts 2 amp or 9 volts 2 amp and 12 volts 1.6 amp. So if we were to discharge at say 9 volts 2 amp, that would be 18 watts. So what we're going to do is use my test load, which you can see here, and actually put those numbers to the test. So we'll start with the basic USB port, the regular USB port, and we're looking to get at least 2.4 amp out of that port. So here you can see we're on 1.4 amp. Let me go higher. 1.7 amp, 2 amp, we're looking for at least 2.4, and there you go, it seems to be holding stable at 2.4 amp. Let's see how far we can push it before it automatically turns off. 2.5 amp. Okay, so somewhere beyond 2.5 amp is where it cut off, but it met its promised 2.4 amp on a regular USB output. Now let's check the quick charge output. And for our first test, what we're actually trying to do is charge another quick charge compatible power bank. And you can see it's outputting 9 volts, just under 1 amp, and around 8.2 watts. Now you might say, well, that's below spec, but remember we're charging another power bank, and this power bank might not actually be able to draw the full amount. So let's try with another quick charge compatible power bank. Here I have a RavPower power bank, so let's try and charge this one. Now I'm not sure if you're able to see what's happening there, but if you watch closely, it starts at normal 5 volt USB, jumps up to 11.8 volts, and then we're at 18.4 watts. So that's a pretty good output, 11.8 volts, 1.5 amp, and 18.4 watts. So that's pretty reasonable. But there is a slight problem. You may have noticed I'm using a pretty long cable. If we use a much shorter cable, for example, I've got this cable here which came with the Romoss power bank. I want to show you what happens when you try and charge this RavPower power bank. Now if you look closely, you'll see it starts again at 5 volts, and then it will jump up and we'll actually get 20 watts output, and then suddenly it stops outputting. And the reason for that is that this RavPower power bank is trying to draw too much power, and the Romoss is turning off to protect itself. Now, I don't blame the Romoss power bank for that, but this is something that I've noticed in general with Qualcomm Quick Charge. I've got various power banks that support Qualcomm Quick Charge, and various different wall chargers which support Qualcomm Quick Charge, but the compatibility between them all is actually quite hit and miss, even between big brands like RavPower and Anker and Orki and Romoss. I mean, Romoss isn't quite in the same league, but between all these different well-known brands, it's meant to be that Qualcomm Quick Charge, the chips talk to each other and they work out what the maximum output is and the best charge rate and everything like that. But in my experience, there's actually, like, it's a little bit hit and miss. So I'm not blaming Romoss, because I've seen this with various different power banks and chargers and things like that. The main thing that's important for me is quick charge on the input. I don't really care about the output, it's really the input, because I want to be able to use this and then recharge it as fast as possible. Most of the stuff that I plug in here won't even be Qualcomm Quick Charge compatible anyway. For example, my cell phone just uses standard 5 volts USB, my iPad standard 5 volts USB, my laptop 5 volts USB. So I'm not really that bothered about the quick charge output, although as you saw it does work, but you might find that some other devices which support quick charge don't play so nicely. So yeah, it's a little bit of experimenting, but that's really something that's down to Qualcomm and not so much the power bank itself. Now let's test for short circuit protection. This should never really happen in normal day-to-day life, but it's good to know if the power bank can protect against it. So I've got a wire here, and we're just going to short the negative and positive together. And the power bank turned off. Let's try that again. Again, it's turned off, and let's try it on the other USB port. Okay, again it's turned off. Now some power banks will actually flash when something goes wrong to let you know that something's gone wrong, but it appears that this one simply turns off. But like you saw there, nothing exploded, nothing went wrong. Let me just quickly plug something in and make sure the USB ports are still working. And that one seems to be working fine, 5 volts. Let's test the other one, 5 volts USB. So yep, it passed the short circuit test. So I think that pretty much sums up the review of the Sense X power bank from Romoss. It passed all of the tests. The capacity test was very close, but it did pass. And it's a pretty nice power bank. I'm happy with it. Now I've actually shot this video over around a week, so different footage was shot on different days and even different cameras, because I'm having a problem with one of my cameras. So I've been using this for around a week and I really have no complaints. Every day I've been, fully charging it, fully discharging it, cycling the battery, and it seems to be working fine. So I give it a thumbs up. For anyone who's interested in finding this, you can find links in the video description. This was sent to me for review from Romoss, so I do thank them for sending this over for review. If you have any questions, put it in the comment section down below, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Thanks for watching.